Now let's talk about significant figures for a minute. So if I write all these numbers, so 53 or 0.00053 or 53,000 or 5.3 times 10 to the power 17, these all have two significant figures. And so what we're talking about is the number, so even though they have different numbers of digits in them, so it's the number of informative figures that matters. So that's not including leading zeros. So what do I mean by that? I mean all these are leading zeros or trailing zeros. So in this example, these are these. So these come after the significant figure or before the significant figure. There we go. So that's what we mean. So here we've got some leading zeros, which don't count, and then 1, 2 non-zero numbers. So that's why this has two significant figures. There's a couple of kind of exceptions, if you like, to that. Some things that make that we can have a load of zeros and then still have them count. So for example, if I write the number 53,000 like this, that's got two significant figures, but if I write a decimal point at the end, that means that it's now 5 significant figures. Because this decimal point implies that we know the measurement this accurately. And go even further, so if I were to say 53,000.0, so any zeros after the decimal point also count as significant figures. So here the 0 after the decimal point also implies that we know the measurement this accurately. So here this is 6 significant figures. Sig figs. Okay, so that's how you count the number of significant figures, and I think that should cover everything you need to know on that. Now, if I ask you to give me a number with a particular number of significant figures, you might have to use rounding. Changing the number of significant figures requires rounding. So I'm going to tell you a couple of rules for that. So, I mean, Professor Buller's gone into all this in some detail, but I'm just going to show you a couple of examples. So, for example, if I ask you to give, let's say, 53,247 to two significant figures. Okay, so then I take these first two numbers, and these are the two significant figures I'm going to use. So that gives us, so I would write 53,000. But if I would say give 53,809 to two significant figures, that's 54,000. So we've got these same two numbers at the beginning, but then this is greater than 5. So because 2 is less than 5 and 8 is greater than 5. And how about if the number, so this is the digit we're looking at, then how about if this digit to the right of the significant figures were a 5? So here are Prof. Buller's rules for rounding a 165, and we might as well follow them. So look in the 165 analysis session for that. So 5, you round up if the number before is odd. So for example, 53,509 gives you 54,000 because this 3 is odd. But you round down if the number before is even. So this makes things even out if you're doing a lot of calculations. If the number before is even. So for example, if we had 52,509, then this is an even number, so that would give us 52,000 because we're rounding down. Okay, so that's what I have to say about significant figures and rounding.